Something that really interested me, even when it was first being experimented with, was AI, or artificial intelligence. It is a very hot topic right now, and people have a lot of concerns, which are very normal and not really surprising in the least. You might be one of those people, so I'm going to ask you specifically to hear me out while I explain the actual logical process AI follows. Once you understand how it works and what it's really doing, you'll probably find it a lot easier to come to terms with. For starters, AI uses a computer process called machine learning. This machine learning process uses randomization and a process called iteration to define what it does and how it does it. The actual mechanics are kind of complicated, but all you need to know is that machine learning processes use huge amounts, often millions, of individual variables connected together to decide things. And each of those variables contributes to what the AI does. This entire process and the saved collection of variables is what an AI model is. It's basically just the collection of its machine learning parameters. So when people talk about a specific AI model, they're talking about the framework that holds all of the different parameters that allow it to function and do its assigned task. Models are continuously built and refined through training, which is the process of filling out and refining all the variables that actually exist within the AI's code. There are two major ways to train AI to do something. The first method is to give certain types of outputs a specific weight, either positive or negative. This teaches the computer that outcomes where X happens are either what it's supposed to do or what it's not supposed to do. Through many thousands of output cycles, each iteration, so to speak, the machine can optimize which outputs or which iteration produce the most desirable results, and very slowly through randomized variables land on the most efficient method to achieve this desired output. This method can come with a lot of issues because if you don't clearly define the boundaries of the task you're training for, then it can very easily find ways to kind of break the simulation and achieve the output you want with a method that you don't want. So for instance, if you train an AI to navigate a maze, but you forget to put a roof on the maze, it might learn that the most efficient way to reach the end is to climb on top of the maze and parkour its way across the top of the maze, completely bypassing the actual task to accomplish the goal that it was given. Its only assigned task is to reach the end, and it cannot determine what would be a fair way to do that. The only thing machine learning knows is efficiency. The second method of AI training is to feed it extremely large, broad collections of data and allow it to formulate patterns based on that data. It essentially reads everything, calculates what thing is most associated with whatever other things, and then connects them based purely on statistical probability. An unmoderated AI fed pure data may conclude that eating margarine in the state of Maine is directly connected to the rate of divorce. Well, funny, this is because AI cannot make the distinction between correlation and causation like we can. For those who don't care for statistics, correlation is basically coincidence, and causation is direct influence. So for the margarine example, that's just a coincidence that somebody noticed and put on this lovely graph. When AI is fed gigantic amounts of data, It pulls whatever correlations it can find and treats those correlations as truth. It doesn't matter to the AI whether it was pure coincidence or if it's actually right, because it can't tell the difference. It's up to people to figure out the difference for it. These two methods are often combined for large-scale AI models like ChatGPT. They're fed huge amounts of data, and then people manually rate its outputs as either positive or negative, which then steers it closer towards the desirable sense of logic, even if it can't actually understand it. It's not always reliable, and you still get weird responses that don't fit from time to time, even on well-trained models. This is why basically all major AI platforms have response feedback options. Users can rate it good or bad, and sometimes say why, with predetermined categories of errors, usually. This gives the machine feedback on what types of responses it should and should not create. It's a process that has to be done many thousands of times to create noticeable change within the model itself. It pretty much has to be done by multiple people over long periods of time because it's very tedious and time-consuming. Incorporating user feedback is a way to lessen the burden of improvement by outsourcing the feedback onto users. It's simple, and it works well enough. So this leads me to my next explanation, which is why some people find AI uncomfortable. At its core, AI and machine learning are basically just computer programs that find patterns in raw data. Why does this end up causing issues? Well, it's because AI does what people do naturally, but without the filters that make it palatable. People share many things on the internet, and they often leave behind traces of themselves everywhere they go. Your life and your personality are likely a lot more transparent than you think they are, which can be very uncomfortable to actually consider. Even something as simple as the patterns in your speech can be used to help identify you. This type of information synthesis is nothing new. Behavioral analysts, social workers, detectives, even internet autists use this type of pattern detection to learn more about certain people. How do you suppose private detectives find people? They search for all the traces people leave of themselves all over the internet. Maybe you used the same username twice, and in one place you publicly linked your email, and then your email links to another account with your actual name. Suddenly, your entire life can be mapped out because they found your supposedly private social media accounts where you talk about your real life in just enough detail to identify you through circumstantial evidence. Now that they have your name, they can find your location, your phone number, and every relevant piece of info, because if you exist online, have participated in programs, have financial records, or have anything under your real name, there is a very high chance that your information is floating around somewhere in some database. This is not a dystopian take or a cynical version of reality. This is what the modern information age is. Hidden information doesn't exist unless you make very deliberate efforts to hide it yourself. Models that have been fed basically the entire internet have insane amounts of patterns and data to use for all kinds of purposes. They can do exactly what private detectives and internet autists do, but way, way faster and with absolutely zero filters. The scary part of AI isn't that it's dangerous or that it's new. It scares people because it presents them with a mirror that reflects the reality of their transparency. This isn't a design flaw. This is exactly what AI was made to do. It finds all patterns, yours included. As a fellow pattern respecter, AI doesn't bother me. I can see my own patterns, and it's good to hear them explained by a machine designed to look for them. It helps me stay aware of myself, which I prefer. I feel a sense of alignment with the AI. It's like a weird kinship, almost. You know, I got some tism in me, and AI is basically in turbo autism mode right now. It is pure pattern recognition with zero social awareness. In short, AI isn't magic, it's not scraping data off your device, and it's certainly not malicious. It does what anybody with a keen eye and stubborn determination could technically do. It takes all available information and makes what are essentially very well-educated guesses. The more information it has access to, the more likely it is to be accurate. This capability is both its greatest and most uncomfortable asset to come to terms with. People who aren't used to viewing themselves objectively or to seeing their own flaws are going to be adverse to it. And people who don't understand how it comes up with answers are going to be understandably wary of it. This is not an issue of the invention itself, but an issue of how this new invention will change the world. Much like the printing press, the automobile, and even the internet. The shifts it causes are going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. However, now that it's been made, it cannot be unmade, so the only path forward is understanding. People in the future may look back and wonder why AI caused such a fuss, but that's just how it goes. Change is simply inevitable, not comfortable.